moment. This is live, so yep, got a few people. All right, so what I'll do, just give me 1 minute. I am going to try and get the chat. Oh, there it is. It's working now. Perfect. So I see everybody's jumping on. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Hopefully the audio is coming in. If it is, just give me just a quick thumbs up, or rather just let me know that you can hear me. I'm seeing a yes, so I'm seeing a lot of yes. All right, great. So it's been, geez, about 6 months since I've actually done a live hangout. This is going to be the first one I've done since November. I apologize that it's been so long. But essentially, my hope is to start creating these kind of monthly videos where I can do live stream hangouts. Again, that's the goal. So in time, my hope is to eventually do them more and more. So if you're new or you're just watching this, this is going to be a pretty informal hangout. I'm just going to share some of the projects that I'm working on, and just kind of give you some updates and hopefully some encouragements to all of you. But definitely would love to just take this time over the next 45, 50 minutes to just kind of do a live hangout. Nothing too long, pretty chill, a lot of Q&A. Again, I haven't done this in so long. So anyway, I see a lot of people kind of streaming in now, and I'll just check real quick to make sure. Looks like we've got about 169 people online, and that's growing really great. So awesome. All right, Mr. Turner X, I love your hair. Thanks. It's there's not much left on the top, but I'm trying to hold on to the little that I have. So, but I just wanted to first start off by just again kind of reiterating what I was telling everyone on the channel here over the last about 3 or 4 days ago. I did a video just updating people on projects that I'm working on, and again, I didn't want to go too far into depth in this video, but one of the things that I did mention in that video that I wanted to bring up, and if you follow me on my community tab on my channel, I typically post things there, and also Instagram. And one of the things that I just signed up for is my ham radio license. I'm going to take that test next month, and I ended up signing up for one of the courses where you can actually study. So my hope is I can take you guys kind of on the journey, and this is one of the things that I've been putting off for a while, but I'm finally getting around to it. And I would encourage everybody as well, if you go to the community tab on my channel, you'll see the information if you are interested in signing up. And I would encourage everyone to at least work on something like that or find another project. But again, that's one of the things I'm going to really try to begin to roll out over the next few months on the channel, is just more and more practical projects to hopefully encourage everyone on this channel to get involved. So I'll just, on that note, I'll just kind of, again, let people kind of filter in here. I think we're up to, let me see, about 173. That's kind of typical for this channel when I do these hangouts, a couple hundred on average. So I think when we did the one back in November for the election, that one kind of got large. So on that note, I'll, again, if you guys, oh, hello from San Diego. That's really close. I'm just right up the road from you guys. But some of the projects that I wanted to talk to you guys about and share. I apologize. Before I started this video, I'd worked all day on getting my studio where I do typically my filming. Been working on the production and ran into a lot of hardware issues. So I'm kind of using this backup camera for the video. But on that note, I just want to share with you guys some of the projects I'm working on, share with y'all. Sorry, I've left Texas and I've lost a y'all. But some of the things I'm working on is gardening. And again, if you haven't done anything where you're working on self-sufficiency, that's my encouragement. In this next, really in the summer, that's one of the things I'm going to be promoting heavily on the channel, is that people learn more and more the, energy independence, going off grid, whatever you can do, or at least be sufficient. I think for a lot of people coming to this channel, Texas was a wake-up call with the infrastructure issues a couple of months ago. And I haven't done an official announcement, but I'm doing a video here, hopefully next week, where I'll be talking about building a battery backup system on my home, sharing that process, getting the solar installed here in a couple of weeks. I've been running into a lot of issues getting solar installed. We've had a lot of backup or issues with the company we're working with, getting permits and everything worked out. But one of the things that I'm really trying to work, and it's just going to take a little time studying and getting prepared, is getting that ham radio license squared away. And again, I've noticed some of the comments people are mentioning, that they've been working on that and, have had success with that. So, a few comments here. Christopher Myers, I'll have ham on 5, hold my O2. Ham license, yes. A little different ham, but you get where I'm going with that. So, and one of the comments, did you mention, Aluru, did you mention the ham radio course you're taking? Shoot, I'm sorry, let me pull that up real quick again. If you go to YouTube, go to City Prepping, and then /community. The course I'm taking is, let's see, the Ham Radio Prep. They don't sponsor the channel or anything like that. Another YouTuber and another guy on Instagram I follow, he had recommended I go check out that as a prep. It was pretty affordable, I think about $25, $30. And then I've got a coupon code on that tab. So if you want 20% off, that actually helps knock the price down. So Zombie Pilot, I've been searching for years for solar battery backup for my home, so I'm eagerly awaiting your video. Yeah, I've looked at a lot of different products on the market. Of course, everyone knows the Tesla Powerwall, but there's a lot of new products that are far superior, at least from what I'm studying. And I would encourage, again, it's not cheap, and I'll talk about that in the video. One of the things that they have in a lot of states, and where I live specifically, they have a lot of rebates. I know they're coming out, I believe, with federal rebates that they could be introducing pretty soon. So it's definitely worth at least looking into. And on that note, let me just bring up a few other things. I apologize. I wish I had a slideshow. I had other things lined up. I had so many hardware issues, so I've had to jump over to this computer, and a lot of things that I had prepared weren't really lined up. But again, some of the things, working on is gardening, composting, vermicomposting. We started that last year, ended up didn't working out so well, so we started all over again. I did a water storage rack setup, and if you want to check it out on Instagram, typically I'll post a lot more there. But the rack system, I ended up hiring a local handyman that's done some kind of simple projects around my house, and he ended up building that. And I should have talked to him before he started because the project didn't come out so well. So I'm going to go back and revise that because by the time you load up 9 barrels with nearly 55 gallons each, or close to 5,000 pounds. And of course, as I mentioned a second ago, the ham radio. That's going to be a big push for me over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So on that note, again, this hangout, I just want to do kind of a more informal hangout, allow you guys to just, again, pile in. I think we've got a good audience now, and encourage, if you got questions, I'll try to answer these as quickly as I can over the next 45, 50 minutes. But in the future hangouts that I'll do once a month, my goal is to, have content in advance and to really, kind of show you behind the scenes what I'm working on. And Pony Girl, no need to apologize. Your content is always informative. I appreciate that. It's been a lot of work just getting the channel to where it is today, and I really try to take these videos seriously. Before I put them up, I really try to take the time to make sure they're very professional. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and read through some of these comments here as they're coming in, and hopefully you can see these on the screen. I put it up so that if you're coming back later, you can see these and just see what the community's asking. All right, so I apologize. A lot of this is already piled through, but I'm going to try to pick up where we are right now. And, well, let's see. One of the questions, why are you so focused on radio? Curious to hear. Communications to me is really important. It's easily the biggest gap in my own personal preps. Where I live, we're constantly being warned we're overdue for the big one. So when it does hit, or communication is going to be an issue. And then we have fire season that's already started way early this year. And in a situation where either I'm separated from my family or friends or individuals in the community that I work with here closely, I just want a way that we can easily pick up and connect. There's a lot of reasons, obviously Intel and other things that are very important. So the next one, let's see, Ben Baker, best options for anyone with a tractor is a PTO generator and transfer switch. You can't beat the power for the cost if you already own the machine. Yeah, well, I live in a small environment, in urban, suburban kind of property. I tried to get a whole house propane generator several months ago, and ran into so many issues with the city on permitting. And so this one is just going to be an easy transition. Plus, no fumes, no noise. It just seems like just the best fit for what we're doing. Let's see, Kyle, thoughts on the emails that recently were released via FOIA? I don't actually know what you're referring to. I have not followed that closely, so my apologies on that. Jessica, let's see. Hello from Florida. Could you share blueprints on outdoor water, gardening, etc. system? Also, I miss a ham talk. Recommend. I did a video, a couple of months ago where I worked with Provident Prepper, and they did a great video on my channel where they explained how to build a blueprint for your backyard. You might want to go check that out. And outdoor water, I have another video on a rain harvesting system. If you just go back to my video in my library and just search for rain harvesting and also blueprint for garden, you'll see both of those videos. Let's see, or if your pet shop has some, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name, but let's see, we'll go to the next one. MacGyver Librarian, working on gardening, composting, and got certified in Knowles Wilderness First Aid. That's awesome. Again, I can't encourage you all on enough. One of the things that I'm going to really be focusing on, and I've got another individual locally that's joined our team, that's been on our team for the last year, and we're now starting to do videos together. He's got a lot of experience with cooking, gardening, and I'll be bringing him more and more to do practical videos on skill sets. So expect that to be introduced over the next few weeks. Let's see. Trish the Homesteader. Hey, Trish, you're a regular on the channel. I appreciate your comment. Southwest Idaho checking in. I've got a lot of friends up in the Boise area. I don't know if that qualifies as Southwest, but if I could, I would move up to that area, believe me. Let's see. Mary R. Any thoughts on the next cyber attack, possibly the power grid? I think that's an excellent question and something that's not discussed enough within our community. And if you go back some of my older videos, that's one of the main concerns I have. Again, I work in IT kind of loosely. I'll put it that way. I don't want to, try to make it sound like I do more than I actually do. I have a web development company, so I understand, basic networking infrastructure. And, when we saw the SolarWinds issue come up, I believe was it last year? It was a while back. That was just an initial kind of discovery phase. I believe we're going to see a lot of this ratchet up over the next several months. And it's, I believe personally that's what we're going to see a lot more of. Carl Frisky, thank you for taking the time to help us prepare for the future. I appreciate that. I mentioned this on a video recently. My goal, and I have begun to do, is to transition full-time over to the channel. And there's a lot that I want to really focus on. I feel like there's just not enough time in the day. And, but again, I appreciate it. Enzo, as a prepper, what is your worst fear for a SHTF situation? I tend to be very pragmatic, and I always reevaluate based on what's happening. And for me, the biggest realistic situation and what really got me into preparing is I live in an area that's, overdue for a really large earthquake. And so for me, that, in my mind, once, the big one hits where we are, that's going to be pretty brutal. So out of everything, that's probably the first on my mind. And again, we live in an area that's very fire prone. So again, nothing too glamorous, but it's just, this is what I face out here. Let me move on here. Any good, Christopher Myers, any good box store power cells I can get mid-grade, Best Buy, Target? When you say store power cells, I'm assuming some kind of a battery backup system. I have not really gone into studying the market with all the options. I know Will Prowse on his YouTube channel, he covers a lot of that extensively, and I would probably point you there. He's got a lot of good information. Robert Martins, everyone hit the like button. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thumbs up, NC Farmer, thumbs up for his great content. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Honey Badger, 290 watching. Well, we're growing. I just scrolled down and wow, it just moved down quite a lot. So I'm going to just try to pick up where we are. Let's see. All right, here we go. Let me get some here. Amber K here from Grants Pass, Oregon. Hi, everyone. Oregon and Washington and Northern Cal. If I could move there, I would. I love those areas. We're pretty much in a desert down here. It's so beautiful in that part of the country. Let's see, when Giovanna G, when is water containers coming back in stock on your website? I apologize, we took that down. We work with a company that ran into a lot of shipping issues across borders, so we're working that out. David Outdoors 74, my biogas system is great if the grid goes down. I looked at those and I haven't bought one. I've been thinking about buying one. David, if you don't mind emailing me at cityprepping@gmail.com, I'd be curious to chat with you more. Let's see, here we go. I'm going to move down. Let's see, Jory, when are you going to do another live video with Urban and Canadian Prepper? Well, I can't let the cat out of the bag on that one, but there is going to be some pretty exciting news on that coming up soon. I don't want to ruin it, but just, be looking for an announcement, hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks. There's something pretty big in the works on that note. I'll just leave it at there. I don't want to spoil, but there's some exciting stuff that we're going to be doing here pretty soon as a group. Let's see, the next one, Abdullah, apologize, Tamalith. One question about the Jackery, what happens when the battery expires? Typically with batteries, you want to make sure you keep them charged, and over time, if you keep recharging, charging it over, they degrade in how much they can hold. So you may have at 10,000 cycles that you've gone through, it may only hold 70% of what it could. They typically will last a long time. They're just capacity over time decreases. Let me go on here. Divine Feminine, living UK. UK is definitely likely to experience this. Where is it media hype with telling us more cyber attacks revoke fear in the public? Yeah, I know that's kind of the narrative. People are afraid, is this just misinformation? Is this just a way to try to control the population? again, just from the background and what I work in, just trying to be pragmatic about things, it's just an inevitability. We're going to see more of this, and I think that's going to be the new warfare, or new front, at least what warfare is going to look like moving forward, at least currently. Let me move down here a little. Texas Farmstead Living, Kareen. Your thoughts on the JBS cyber attack? Yeah, just again, reiterating what we're talking about here. I think we'll continue to see this. It's a lot of these companies, you'd be surprised. Again, I build websites for a living, and sometimes we'll go into these projects with these clients, and a lot of times they either have very out-of-dated software or they shipped it overseas and low security setup. My brother works in IT, and he's run into the same issues. A lot of these companies, big companies, household names, he basically swore me to secrecy that you can't share who these companies are because they're big names. They mostly, a lot of them will go overseas, and they end up getting, not always, but a lot of times poor quality. And so I think security is going to be a big issue, and companies are going to have to pay through the nose as they get more and more hacks. Paul Coleman, how did you decide on your chicken breeds and crops for your garden? Chickens, just went down to local feed store, grabbed what they had, and just asked the guy, hey, do these produce eggs? Yeah, okay, then great, that's what I grabbed. Crops, my wife actually picked that up. You have to start off with the zone you're in, and then just look at, again, we live in, I believe, 9A, so we kind of get year-round growing. And then she picked up a book on companion planting. One of the best things that we ever did, because when you do companion planting, it just allows the plants to basically have a symbiotic relation and help each other. So again, I encourage you to go back to the video I did a couple of months ago with Provident Prepper, and they talked about that. Aliru H, I appreciate that politics is neutral in your videos. Well, I appreciate that. It's not easy. I purposely try to steer away from politics. There are a lot of channels out there that's all they do. They focus on politics. And if that's what you want to hear, then go grab it. Go to those channels. There's plenty of information on whatever political leaning you have. I just have to really be careful with the mission statement of this channel. Is I just want people to be prepared. Regardless of where you are, what your views are. I just want people to be prepared. And if I accomplish that, then I feel like I'm successful. Caleb Anderson, a cyber attack would be far worse than an EMP. Would you rather have all your personal info stolen by a cyber attack or lost from an EMP? Again, I don't know which one I would say would be worse, but yeah, to your point, there's probably a lot of information about you that you don't realize is floating around out there. I'll just put it that way. Not to scare anybody, but that's a reality. After all this time prepping, mentally speaking, do you think we're ready? Do you think you're ready, or will you just not know until it happens? Thanks for the stream. Look, I'm constantly prepping. It's just, I don't do it out of fear. It's, I'm fortunate that I get to do this for a living. This is something I enjoy, and I hope to take people on the journey. And I've been able to help neighbors and other people on the journey as I'm learning myself. Do I think I've ever arrived? Not really. I've lived in environments where things are hard, and I know what it's like. So, on that note, I just try to keep going, doing what I'm doing. I don't think it's really a destination. It's more of a journey, for me at least. Here, let me try to keep up with this. So, Divine Feminine Living UK, thank you for the money, by the way, £5. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a lot. Let me see. Let me keep moving on here. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate your time. Again, thank you. I appreciate you as a community. Let me try to catch up. I am way, way behind. So how do you, Matt L., how do you think your background in IT and web develop influences your prepping? For me, it's interesting. A lot of people that I know that are actually preppers that have big YouTube channels, I could name several that you know. A lot of these guys, like myself, are in IT. I don't know. I think it's more of a logic-based pragmatism that, for me, prepping is, I just look at it more from kind of a logical perspective. I see the threats, and for me, I choose to line things up to prepare. It's not fear-based. It's trying to be practical. That's at least how I approach it. I think just kind of the mindset that many of us in programming kind of carry. Let me move on here if I can. So I'll try to do my best to keep up with this. Let's see. Jalen Rubio, what should we do when a zombie apocalypse comes? Set up a lot of treadmills around your house and hope they can only run on those and never make it to your house. I don't know. I haven't really formulated a strategy for that, but that's about it. So the Golden Family, where are you located? I'm in Southern California. I am in an area called the Inland Empire, east of LA, north of San Diego. Not my favorite part of Southern Cal, but it's very affordable and you can get to the big cities in an hour, but you still have somewhat seclusion where we're at right now. Let's see, Retired Reyes. I live in California and passed a Ford dealer and noticed and went to the same thing. Let me see, let me move on here. Oh wow, Sarah Connor, finally have a 1 year prepper or 1 year pantry and essentials. What would you suggest next as a focus? That's awesome. Well, it's hard to answer that question based on what else have you fulfilled? Do you have pure are you capable of living off grid with a power backup source? Hopefully, a renewable option, solar, wind. There's so many different directions you could go with that. What's your bug out model look like? Do you have locations you can go to? Do you have the proper options to get there, whether it's vehicle or otherwise? It's kind of an open it feels like an endless journey. It's something I enjoy. It kind of harkens back to my day of Boy Scouts and being prepared. So it's hard to answer that question, but you're always welcome to email me. I definitely always try to do when I have the time to help people and talk to them. All right, the Pervy Prepper. Hello, nice to catch you live. Well, it's always good to see you, Pervy Prepper. I see you pop up on my comments from time to time. I'm hoping that name is just ironic. Taz Riot. So many people talk about the problems, very few offer solutions. Yeah, that is an excellent point, and thank you for the money, by the way. That is, in a nutshell, one of the things that we're trying to transition as a team with this channel. I'll be honest with you, I can put out content all day long explaining the problems, and those videos will get the views. But it's so difficult when you sit down with people and you try to produce content that's very, oriented toward here's steps that you can take. Sometimes those work, sometimes they don't. But I'm going to continue to put them out. And that's really going to be the focus, as I mentioned earlier, our team we're taking on and adding people to the team so that we can produce more practical content. So thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for the contribution. Country Sister, your hard work makes a huge difference. Thank you. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for the $10 donation. I appreciate it. I'll be honest with you guys. It feels sometimes, because I'm on the other side of the screen and I'm putting out this content. And sometimes I don't know, are people hearing this? Is it being, is it practical? Is this really having an impact? And so that's one of the things I'm going to be working on soon. And again, I've got one of my developers I peeled off to build a membership portal for our site, primarily because I just want an area where we can communicate and get a little more, close and work closer as a community. So again, I think that's a big, missing gap, at least with my channel, and that I really want to work on. But again, thank you for the donation. Let me try to keep up here. MI Prepper, you and the Canadian Prepper do really good thinking videos. I appreciate that. And again, Nate's a good friend of mine. Nate's a very intelligent individual. We've had a lot of Skype hangouts where we talk, and guy thinks a lot. He's a good guy, and he knows his stuff. I'll tell you that much. Him and the Urban Prepper were one of the two main influences when I first started my channel. So I'll try to keep up here. Let me Dio, I always pronounce it, Die Bullfrog 79. Stop to say hello, CP. Thank you. If y'all know who that is, he's a longtime subscriber. Always has encouraging words on the comment section, so I appreciate that. Mary R., you're super practical and make a huge impact, and your most recent video is amazing and informative. Thank you. And again, I really appreciate that. It's good to hear, because what I'm trying to do with the team is to make sure that we're, balancing things with showing the threats so people understand the different things that they should be preparing for. But again, it's so hard to create content nonstop. My hope and my dream over the next, several months is to build up a solid 5 to 6 very useful videos on a weekly basis. But I'm having to expand the team out, and we're getting there. So, again, I appreciate it. Penny Pincher Prepper, very informative channel. Thanks. And again, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see, GGF, you console me during these end times. Well, I hope that's a good thing when you say I console you. I've shared this before on the channel. I've lived in good times, and I've lived in countries where things were tough. And people have no idea how good we have it here, even though things are chaotic. This is just a very transitional time that we live in. And that's, for me, one of the reasons I prepare, and I hope to encourage people to do the same. Let's see. Let me move on. Sue Elliott, you're a huge asset for those that want to be prepared. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mario123, do you recommend like an all-in-one prepping kits, and do they sell anything like that rather than 20 things? Okay, well, that's a great question. And it's hard because people have asked me, why don't you, do a bug out bag, sell it on your website, or do this or that? And it's so hard because everybody has different challenges and different things they're going to be facing. It's almost impossible to try to create all in one, because where I live, we have no water. If you're somewhere, on the East Coast or where I grew up in East Texas, I mean, we had water all around us. Here, that's a big issue for me. The threats I face here are much different than other parts of the country. So it's a little difficult. And again, what I'm going to be working on also is really focus on creating content for a membership area that can be compartmentalized modules, so to speak, so that based on whatever the issue is you're trying to prepare for, the hope is that we can give you content to, basically prepare, help you prepare. So that's something we're working on. Let me just try to move on here. Let's see. I believe that's Arabic. I apologize. I can't pronounce your name. Please talk about zombies. It's funny you say that. I just downloaded Zombieland 2 today, so that is on my watch list tonight. The first movie was amazing, so I'll be watching that tonight. Thanks for reminding me. Mary R. Urban Prepper seems like the nicest prepper on the planet. Yes, absolutely. If you go back to my channel, in my history a few years ago, he came and stayed with me one night. He was out here in Southern Cal, and he drove all the way out. It was a long drive for him. Came out and visited. We ended up staying all night, drinking cheap wine and hanging out. He's one of the nicest people you'll meet, and we've hung out a lot at SHOT Show. You can't say enough nice things about that guy. Super sincere, and the way he is on camera is the way he is in real life. So let me move on. Unknown user, why don't you show guns on the channel? Stop giving into liberal BS. Yeah, I mean, that's up to you, and that's up to the YouTube channel. Look, YouTube is they're the platform right now, and whenever you put firearms on the channel, you are going to be marked. And there's a lot of other channels if you want to go out there and do that. I just signed up and set up an account on Odyssey, so this is just where it's at right now. I would love to do more of that, but it is what it is, and that's what I'm working with. So on that note, again, there are plenty of gun channels, and there's a lot of information on there, so I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Carl Frisky mentioned to Nate he still owes me $25. I'm not going to ask what happened. I'll just take your word on that. Hey, Dave Horton, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Let's see. Bo Jonah, good morning from the Philippines. Hey, Bo. I've got, again, I've mentioned this, I believe, on the channel. I have a web development agency, and we've got a few developers in the Philippines. They're amazing. I've had some of them for 7 years that have been on my team. I've yet to go to the Philippines, one of my countries that is on my list to go. But when I was in Afghanistan in 05 or 03, the entire team was pretty much from the Philippines. There was a few of us Westerners, but the rest were Philippines. Nicest people I've ever met in my life. Vegan Prepper, your channel is always the one I recommend to beginners, that and Canadian Preppers, where he outlines his prepping pyramid. It's really good stuff. I'll have to check that out. Again, we're trying to work on more basic content for those that are coming into the community, and so we'll be working on that. I just hit the click down, and man, I skipped probably about 80% of this. I apologize. I'm going to try to pick up where I'm at. So let's see. M. Bell, greetings from East Texas. Hey, M. Bell. I grew up about 30 minutes from the Louisiana border. A lot of people ask, where's the accent? People can still hear from time to time, but having left Texas over 20 some odd years ago, the accent's slowly fading away, but if I have enough drinks, it can come back. I'll tell you that much. So let's see. Iron Lion Homestead TV. Let's see. When I'm out on my homestead, signal sucks out here in the backcountry. Yeah, well, you're lucky that you have it. I wish I had land. I plan on picking up land within the year's time. Most of what I have, the options out here are either desert or high brush territory, and so not a lot of options, but plan on getting there. Let's see, do you think prepping will continue to become more mainstream, survival events? I mean, again, after last year, this is a conversation I was having with a friend last night. A lot of his friends have begun, to learn about this channel, and, they see it as useful information. And a lot of them mentioned, after the events of last year and the events of Texas, the power grid, it's not, they see it as more just very practical. And that's what I'm trying to do with the channel, steered in that direction. So let me move on. So here we go. Andrew, a lot of fellow New Yorkers glad to see I'm not the only one. I'm assuming you're mentioning that you're preppers, but let's see. And you breed. Always great information. I'm a big fan. Again, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Keith Bueller, cybersecurity, it's more relevant to the everyday. Absolutely. People just don't realize, there's so many things that are happening. Our just-in-time infrastructure is being expanded. My father worked in power production his entire life, and when he was leaving, the thing that they were working on is automation. They were trying to scale down the actual staff. And people don't realize that as they do that, we become more and more susceptible to, these cyber security threats. So again, I'm always shocked when I work with companies and we come in and do an audit, how many of them have old technology that's easily hacked. Let me move on here. Domestic gangsta. Let's see. I'm glad I made a live chat. I appreciate your calm demeanor. I prep for my family and try to help others prepare cost effectively. And again, thank you. That's really the hope with this channel, is that we're going to be steering it more and more this year to really just focus on the practical and, try to avoid the extreme. I mean, everybody's on a different scale. Some people are, very, very concerned about end of the world tomorrow. Some people are pretty chill. I would kind of put myself somewhere in the middle. I just think we're in a transitional time in our nation's history and the world, for that matter. I'm just trying to introduce practical information. So let me move on. Rainey, how do you find like-minded people in your area? That is just really comes down, I think, if I could just say one thing, it's just finding groups. Whether it's, if your kids are in scouting or some type of outdoor, activity. There are prepper groups in my area. I haven't joined any, but I have friends that are in them, and you'd be surprised. You start, going to a gun store, asking around. It does take a little digging, but you'd be surprised what you can find. They're out there. So let me try to keep up. Taz, what are your thoughts on a prepper's commune? People of like mind growing and forming their own community. That is a tough one. Very tough. I was in a prepper group years ago, and there was this one guy, I won't say his name because he might be watching, but he basically came to these prepper meetups to poach. That's all he did, is he tried to find people that he could use to bring into his group. He would kind of handpick, and he asked me to join. This was years ago. And it was kind of the all or nothing. This is my show. You follow me. I'm the leader. And I mean, the guy knew his stuff. He was a prepper's prepper. I mean, this guy's been prepping since the 70s, pretty hardcore. And he's known by a lot of the preppers out here where I live. But having said that, that's tough. I mean, how do you, it's, building a group that you can trust. It's doable. But for me, the approach I take is just build relationships. And for me, that's what's worked best. And people that I trust. It's hard to work with people you just don't know. I'll put it that way. Let me see. I'm going to try to move on here. Frank Bush. I work in financials, prepare for minimum 12.5% annual inflation. Yeah, absolutely. I did a video not too long ago explaining, that, again, I don't try to become I'm not a financial advisor, and I won't try to promote any type of investments on this channel, but find what works for you, because your dollar sitting in a bank account is like a pool that's just draining out at about, 1% to 2% monthly, 12% annually. It's a big problem. So here we go. Let me try to move on. Psychotic Purger. I've been a prepper for about a year and a half, and thanks to you, I had learned so much. Always look forward to your new video. No, I appreciate that. And those are the kind of things that are always encouraging to hear. Let's see. Lee Archer. I'm from Louisiana. Hurricane Laura is why I started prepping, studying for my ham radio license. So that's great. I grew up, again, next to Louisiana. Fortunately, we never really experienced any hurricanes. We would get, the storms afterwards. But if you're down in that area, I think you'll continue to see that issue. Let me move on. Let's see. I'm just going to try to do my best to keep up here. Let me move on. Let's see. Mario123. Have you ever had problems with YouTube? And if, what problems do you have? Last fall when everything was going on, I was trying to do videos explaining the different issues happening in our country. And it was hard because you steer into some really, how should I put it, some territory that gets a little touchy, right? There's a lot of stuff that was happening. And YouTube, when I would release a video, they would demonetize it. They would, I never got any strikes, but they were always on my case about things. So that's why I've tried to steer away from being more of a commentary type of channel to more practical. That's, so apart from that, I haven't had any issues. I've just kind of have to learn to play the game if you're going to be on their platform. So let me move on here. Squashican. I probably mispronouncing that. Where did you grow up in East Texas? Did a stint at SFA myself. Awesome. Actually, I went to SFA my freshman year of college. The Stephen F. Austin. It's in Nacogdoches. And I transferred out to the University of Texas in Austin after my freshman year. So I didn't grow up too far from SFA area, but it's a beautiful area. Very green. A lot of pine trees and super humid. So let me move on here. Let me see. I'm just going to try to skip in here. Let's see. Survival Vince. How do you meet Canadian prepper? I'm assuming how do I meet him? I mean, we from time to time just hang out on Skype. I've been trying to get him come down to the U.S. Myself and Cliff over at the Urban Prepper. We've been asking him to come down, but hopefully we can get him down this year. Let's see. Captain Case, a level-headed and calm demeanor, a good way to deliver information, not to mention essential to dealing with the SHTF scenario. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. I've been in some situations where, having a cool and level head, made, have allowed me to be where I am today. I'll put it that way. So it's hard. You have to kind of take it down a notch and breathe, but being level-headed is critical. Let me see here. I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with this. Orange tint in Iceland. I'll pick that one. I'm assuming you're in Iceland. I'll assume you are. So what do you think about, what do you think would be better in a long-term SHTF? A paramedic, medical doctor, nurse, or EMT? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think a lot of it also comes down to what training or where have they been. If you've read about, again, I was pre-med. I worked in the hospitals, or at least I volunteered. I had to do my MCAT, medical college admissions test. I applied to medical schools and got to know a lot of physicians. There's, people that, what was the one reporter years ago? He was reporting in Afghanistan, and he was in a tank, had the helmet on, but they had a IED went off, had severe head trauma. They were very aggressive, moved in, cut part of his skull to relieve the pressure. Had something like that happen in the United States, they would have probably been way more conservative. And the point I'm trying to make is, if you had a physician that had experience in combat scenarios, I think that would be my selection. Again, I have a lot of friends that are doctors, and I would love to have them on my team if things went sideways. Whew, let me try to keep up here. You know what? I'm going to hop down a lot. I apologize, but I'll just hop down as much as I can. So let's see. ES, is there any countries left where sanity prevails, a place to escape for now? That's a good question. It seems like a lot of the Northern European, kind of the Iceland, Norway, those places, from what I've read, again, I haven't lived there, they seem pretty calm. Seems like a really chill area still with everything happening. So I don't know. I love to be an American. We've got our set of challenges, but again, I think we're all going to see challenges, I believe personally, over the next 5-10 years as a world. Let me move on here. Let's see. RP, City Prepper, get out of the city. I've never heard that one before. I'm just joking. I hear that all the time. I mean, look, the reason I started this channel is, again, I'm in a suburban environment. Whatever, 70% of the world are in a similar environment. So for me, it just makes sense that I create content for a very large audience. I did a video or an interview about a year, was it 2 years ago? Jeez, time's gone by. With a Green Beret up in Salt Lake City area. And it was interesting because he was in Afghanistan and he saw some of the same things I did. The people that lived in kind of a typical urban suburban environment, they tend to get the treatment when things go bad. Those are typically the city centers where aid will come in. And those on the outskirts of town that were isolated, off on their own, it was a much, much more difficult situation. And that was just one of the things I observed. So while there are challenges, without a doubt, living in a city, there are advantages as well, to live in the city. So let me move on. Our RV adventure, that's a tongue twister. Our RV adventure. When I travel in my RV, I'm always worried that it will be the day. I try to prep, but there's only so much room. Being far from my stockpile is concerning. How do you deal with that? Yeah, I used to RV. My family and I, we RV'd back in 2003 and 14. We went full time, just saw the whole U.S., but that's a decision. Yeah, there's no real easy answer for that unless you have a way to get back if anything happens. Let me move on. Let's see. Dustin LeBaron, have you considered thermoelectric generators? A little bit of water and twigs and a small rocket stove can charge batteries and power banks. I have it. I'm assuming you're referring to the one like, what was it called? BioLite. I know they had their small kind of portable ones, but again, what I'm trying to move toward is anything does it require a finite source of power, twigs, whatever wood. And where I live, at least in Southern Cal, we have nothing but sun. So I'm going personally for solar. We're getting an 8 kilowatt solar panel array set up on our roof in a few weeks. And then the battery backup system I have is a 12 kilowatt hour, and we're going to be adding on to that over time. I'm sorry, I'll try to keep up here. Zach of all trades, are you afraid of a nuke living in the city? I mean, it's a possibility for sure. I grew up, as a kid in the 80s, the constant threat of nuclear war were always hanging over your head. I don't know. For me, I ascribe more to the, MAD, strategy, mutual assured destruction. It's in no one's advantage to nuke someone else. Now, obviously, there's rogue nations that are probably picking up nuclear weapons from the former Soviet Union. I'm sure those are floating around, and there's nations that would love to, set one off even at a small level in a large city. But I don't know. I'd like to believe that's not going to be an issue, but who knows? There's only so much I guess you can prepare for, right? All right, so let me move on. Joseph Fitter, doing any more crypto or financial videos? I've done a few videos talking about crypto. I've explained my position. I try to be careful with that. Crypto is so volatile, as we just saw. A few weeks ago it crashed hard. If you understand what the Wyckoff distribution is, you understand why that happened. So I take a long-term approach. I don't do trading. I'm looking more at a 20, 30-year record or approach with my crypto. So apart from that, I try to, typical financial videos I've done periodically from time to time, and I'll do them. But one channel I always recommend is Princess Prepper. I think she does an amazing job at that. But I'll try to continue to add add more videos like that. Let me see. I'm going to try to skip down a little here. We need to practice primitive skills because we don't know in which situation we will be. Yeah, not a bad point. Humanity took a couple 100,000 years to develop skills, and we lost most of it in the last 100 years. So much has been lost. My grandmother, before she passed, that was one of the things, and I've shared this in past videos, that she lamented is how much of, the basic skill sets that she had to deal with, during the Great Depression, how much of that is lost today because of the modern conveniences. So you're not wrong. Let me move on here. So I apologize. Let me see. Prepping over 50. I'd like to see a video about apartment prepping. Yeah, actually, if you do Google or go into my video library and you search, I've done videos on, different things you need to consider. If I haven't covered everything, feel free to email me if there's certain things you want me to talk about. Let's see. Where would you rank Eastern Kentucky a place to settle down? I don't know a lot about Eastern Kentucky, but I do know enough, about that part of the country. Kind of the Midwest, I'm assuming. Is that Midwest? I apologize if I'm mislabeling Kentucky, but those areas are nice. I did a video explaining different places I would recommend, in a grid down situation. I think Kentucky made the list. I have to check that one out. Let's see, Phil H., what do you think about buying a house in Pahrump, Nevada? Never heard of the place, don't know. Nevada, I am looking at Nevada. I'm looking at some areas across the border from California, so it's on my list of states that I'm watching very closely. I'm looking at going out either an hour east, more toward Palm Springs, get some property out there. I know some preppers in that area. Actually, a good friend of mine's a prepper, and we were talking, and she knows she's come across a lot of preppers in that area. They don't come out right and say it, but it's becoming a more popular area for a lot of them. Of course, water is the issue. Let me see. I'm going to move on. Cindy D, please advise about water filtering and water preservative products. Sawyer filters are small, inexpensive, easily transportable, while Berkeys are big, bulky, and pricey. Water preservatives are confusing. When I first started doing videos on water, I talked about preservatives. I'll never mention that again. I mean, essentially, they're just kind of diluted, or, they're concentrated chlorine, what you can buy. I'm going to do a video. We have one in the works. I've got some of the equipment next to me. We're going to be working on how to create bleach, more or less, from, pool shock. But we're going to talk about, how you go about purifying water. We'll be doing some videos on a water filter system. It's somewhere behind me. My office, if I turn the camera, I've got more products I can keep up with. When I was in Afghanistan, one of the guys on our team, he specialized in wastewater management, doing work in NGO in developing nations. And the system I'm going to do a video on here pretty soon, it's very similar to the one that he built us when we were in Afghanistan. It was designed to actively pump. You hook it up to an electrical device, and you can actually pump through different types of filters and get rid of a lot of the chemicals and other things. So on that note, it's on my radar. Let me see. Scott Varner, I'm looking into a freeze jar, but wonder if it's too late and if I should use the cash for food. I mean, again, that's up to you. I don't know your specific situation. But I think it's a good long-term investment for a lot of reasons. It can pay for itself. I've got one. I've used it for years. They're great devices. I've definitely put a plug in for that. I do carry them on my website, or if you go to the manufacturer website, doesn't matter. But they're definitely worth looking into. Sarah Connor, I love your avatar as well. Have you tried a sun oven? That's another item on my list. Surprisingly, I don't have one where I live here in sunny Southern California. I know a lot of preppers here in the area, they have them, and I've heard nothing but good about them. Let me see. James Zabakis, you're appreciated. Let me know if you're ever in Central Florida. Well, I appreciate that offer. Thank you. Survival Vince, I'm in Texas also. Seems like you have a lot of subscribers in Texas. I pulled up my analytics on my channel. The first state is California, and the second is Texas. I think California simply because I'm Californian, but I identify as a Texan. Graduated University of Texas. I will always be a Texan. I don't really go around telling people I'm a Californian. I tell people I live in California, but I identify as a Texan. I'll put it that way. I plan on going out there here in a couple of weeks to see family, and it's been a long time, but love my home state. I'm going to move on. Here we go. Let me try to get caught up here. Sharon, the Arc de Triomphe in Paris is a giant horseshoe magnet. Paris is a giant grid built by design as early as the 1600s to generate free power. Fascinating. My two blue poof. Hi from Austin, Texas. Hey, I love Austin. Whenever I have a chance to go back, it's one of my favorite places to visit. Keep Austin weird, right? Let's see, Thomas Dell, for the same price on a budget and planning on acquiring land very soon. Yeah, if you can acquire land, I just went and looked at a piece of property up the hill on Memorial Day with some friends, took my Jeep up there, and where I live in California, prices of land keep going up and up and up. Tracy, do you plan on leaving California when you retire? That is an argument that I have in my head all the time. I laugh because my wife, she's a diehard Californian. She was born and raised in LA. All our family's in LA. She has an amazing family. They're all out here. And I was up a few years ago in Salt Lake City on the outskirts of town. And I was being introduced to a gentleman that has a pretty big company up there. He builds silencers for firearms. And he's got a real tank in his garage, an actual tank with a 50 cal on the top. This guy's about as hardcore as they come, right? But nicest guy I ever talked to. We were talking and, he kind of poked fun about being in California, but he was like, look, I get it. At the end of the day, if that's where your family's at, that's what's important. And there is nothing more important than family. And so on that note, if they decide to get out of town and leave California, I would definitely be open to it. I'll put it that way. So let me move on here. Let's see, Pony Girl, your last med video was great. Would you consider one on growing plants as alternatives? I'm assuming, and thank you by the way, I'm assuming you're talking about plants as alternatives for medicine, or alternative medicine that you can get from plants. I think that'd be a great video, actually. One of the guys on my team that's here local, he does, he grows some different stuff in his backyard. He was showing me yesterday, and we set up a garden. We've had a lot of success, but it's a very basic garden. It's not a survival garden. It's stuff that we actually would enjoy. Different elements to create, salsa and other things, and so clearly the garden, I wanted to make sure it was something my wife enjoyed, and she's really spearheading that effort. But that's one of the plans that I have next year is a transition, and hopefully she can show me how to do more planning. I'd like to do more survival foods and these type of plants. So that's a great question. It's a process, remember, right? It's easy to get overwhelmed and think I got to learn it all now, but I'm just trying to move in stages. Let me move on here. When is the next live stream? Vince asked. My goal is to get them once a month. I have a huge video studio set up over there. Worked on it all afternoon, ran into problems. My goal is to get that where it's just, hey, come in, hit a button, and then we're live. And so I'd like to do once a month, and then hopefully within a few months make it a weekly kind of news update, and then kind of a Q&A afterwards. So I'll be working on that. All right, let me move on. Is Hawaii desirable for prepping? Oh, geez, I clicked once and I just skipped way down. I don't know. From what I've read, there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of challenges, obviously, but I'll be out in Hawaii in August. We're going to be heading out there as a family, so it's one place I've always wanted to go to. Let's see, Taz right. I'm also in Southern Cal, Victorville, and I'm buying land in Texas. Yeah, I've got family up in Victorville. Go up there occasionally, and good on you to buy land in Texas. Buy it while you can. That's one thing they're not making any more of, right? Let me see. Let's see. Chad Jazeera, he's done crossovers with Urban and Canadian in the past. Yeah, a couple of great guys. We have very similar content, very similar audiences. Let me see. Daniel, ACP, what do you suspect the next event will be? Financial, economic crash, civil turmoil, significant war, further biohazard threats? Just the best guess, really. Thanks for your thoughts. Whew. It's always dangerous to start trying to, making predictions on this channel. In the past, I've kind of overstretched myself and said, hey, here's some real threats, and this is probably going to happen. Things didn't play out the way I thought they would, and it just kind of discredits the channel. So I try to avoid trying to predict. I just, I do recognize the threats, and I just bring it to people's attention. But again, we live in such a fascinating time, and I don't mean that to be, to try to play down what's happening, but clearly there's a lot of turmoil happening. I mean, you could extract any one of those points you brought up and say, yeah, that could be a real possible threat. And again, I think even civil turmoil, I mean, that's something I've been keeping an eye on very closely here lately. There's things that concern me, a lot of things that people are not really paying attention to under the surface. So it's anybody's guess, and that's why we prep. I hate to be so vague, but that's kind of my answer there on that one. Let's see, nomadic sporadic. Hey everyone, first time here. Love the chat. I live in a van to be off grid as much as possible. At some point, I will buy land as well. Glad I found you. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah, if I was single, I'll be honest with you, I probably would have bought an RV, 30 foot, Class C, hitch my Jeep behind it. And I'd probably, find a piece of property and just move around. I'm a nomad at heart. But this is just a phase I'm in right now in life where we have a family and we're settled down. But yeah, not a bad approach. I would do it if I could. So Annabelle Johnson. Hello. Hey, Annabelle. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Kenny Wallace. Thanks for your channel. Keep me on my toes and thinking ahead. I mean, yeah, again, we live in interesting times, and it's something that many of us are on our toes at the moment. Let's see. GGF. Family must stick together during these trying times. Absolutely. If you don't, in my opinion, if you don't have friends, family, what do you have left? Some people are more hermits or to themselves, and if that works for you, great. But I love having family. Can you do a video on the stages of starvation and effects on the mind? Itsy Bitsy Spider TV. Yeah, I did actually do one. If you go to my video library, I think search for starvation, you'll see that video on that. I'm going to try to keep up because we have 4 more minutes, and I promised my wife I'd be out here at 6 because she's got to head out with some family. Let me see. C2, I retired from UT Austin ECBME in 2015. Got my amateur general license in 2017. Go for the general class for HF. Yeah, I'm going to start out. I think the first one, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering this, is the first one technical and then general? I know they have 3 different ones. I'm going to do the first one, then I'm going to move to the second one. I bought the course where I could learn both. But I will take the test next month for the first kind of introductory level. Is that technical? I always get them backwards. Let me go on a few more here. I'll take on a few more. Let me see. I just saw this one. Taz Riot. Let's see. When I bought land, I told the realtor I wanted something I can build my house, walk around naked, and fire off my AR-15. Don't we all dream of that? My last house I was on 5 acres, and I couldn't fire off an AR-15. Pretty much walked around my boxers most days. It was great. So Glocktard, hey Chris, hey, thanks for jumping on. So Andrew Farley, can you make another video on the hacker attacks? Yeah, it's something that we did one recently, and I'll probably do another one because I think, and I've done several videos kind of getting into the details of cyber attacks, but it's definitely a subject that I think needs to be covered more. That people have no idea how reliant we are upon all systems working properly. And if some of these go down, the impact of the cascading effect could be dramatic. The water, for example, in Texas, people got to experience that firsthand when the grid went down. Most people don't realize, water, I mean, that's pumped in, right? Some is gravity, but a lot of it won't be pumped to your house. I mean, there's different things that people have no idea once certain systems fail. It's a cascade effect. And again, when I lived overseas in 2003, I watched that firsthand. There is no infrastructure. You just have to pretty much do it on your own. Let me take a few more, and I apologize if I get in. But again, I appreciate y'all joining or staying along this long if you have. Let's see. Yeah, Luther G, thanks CP. The chat section has been great. I will say that. It has been a good comment section. I've had a few where I've had to delete a lot of comments in the past, but people have been pretty chill on this one, so thank you to everyone. Let's see, Mary. Let's see, I've read some of this. AC, it looks like a lot of people are kind of logging off. Yeah, there's a lot. I apologize. I would have loved to get to everybody's comment. I'll put in a final plug here. One of the things we'll be working on, and we are building right now behind the scenes, is a membership section where I can begin to spend more time, hopefully hanging out with people in smaller group settings. I don't know what the model is going to look like exactly right now. We're working on that. But for me, I take the concept and I take, prepping very seriously. And I would love to, join and help others, one-on-one as much as I can. So look out for that here. I'll be announcing that pretty soon. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everybody joining. I'll try to do another one of these here in a few weeks. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments section. Like I said, I haven't done one of these since November. You know me, if you follow my channel, I try to really take the time to preparing everything in advance. I usually try to edit everything to keep people's time, not waste anybody's time. And so I'm always nervous doing these live hangouts. I don't want to waste anybody's time. But again, I love the casual kind of back and forth hanging out, and that's one of the things I enjoy. So on that note, everyone stay safe. I'll be doing some updates here pretty soon. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, just go to cityprepping.com/newsletter. And as things come along, I'll be doing announcements. And there you are, Jamie. I was looking for you. Jamie Hitt. I left a voicemail with you a few days ago. I need to follow up with you on email. Got some questions for you. If you guys don't know, Jamie Hitt's one of the subscribers on this channel, other prepper channels. Guys knows stuff backwards and forward. He's way beyond me, I'll put it that way. So I always look forward to his feedback. If you search his comments in the comments section, they're very, very insightful. So on that note, everyone stay safe. And yeah, I'll look forward to connecting with you guys again on